questions people ask me when discussing their work injury is, am I covered by workers' compensation or workers' comp? The answer is almost always yes. In Mississippi, except for a couple of exceptions, companies that employ 5 or more workers are required to carry workers' compensation insurance coverage. Generally, workers' comp covers any injuries that occur at work, regardless of who's at fault.
Injured workers often ask me if they should report their work injury now or wait and see if it turns out to be something serious. An injured worker should report his or her injury as soon as possible. Failure to report the injury on time or to the proper supervisor could result in the delay or even the denial of workers' compensation benefits. Often I hear workers complain that a nurse from the insurance company has been attending the patient's doctor appointments with them. In some cases, the nurse from the insurance company will even go in and talk to the doctor behind the patient's back after the patient has left the doctor's office.
I broke my leg on the job. A nurse from the insurance company just started showing up at my doctor's appointments and asked the doctor to change his treatment plan for me. I was afraid I wasn't getting the right care. It was an ordeal, and meanwhile I was in pain and I'm missing out at work. I am just glad that I finally made that phone call to Tabor Law Firm.
If this has happened to you, call us. We can help. Being injured on the job does not waive your right to privacy.
Some employers and insurance companies will try and get an injured worker to sign a form before seeing the doctor. The worker is often led to believe that they must sign this form in order to receive medical treatment. This is not the case. You always have the right to select your own doctor in connection with a workers' compensation claim. The insurance company cannot force you to accept their doctor in connection with your injury. More and more I hear from people that have been told by the insurance company that they must see a doctor within the insurance company's group or network. There's no such group or network in connection with a workers' comp claim.
When I was hurt, my natural thought was to go to my regular doctor, but my boss said I had to go to a different doctor because his insurance company required it. That didn't really seem right, but I would have never known better had I not called Tabor Law Firm.
The insurance company is telling you this. It's likely because they're trying to get you to select their own hand-picked doctor.
A similar situation occurs when an injured worker is told they must use a certain pharmacy or a pharmacy card that can only be used at certain locations. A workers' compensation insurance company should not require you to use their pharmacy to fill your prescriptions. Sometimes injured workers that meet with me for the first time have with them doctor bills they've received in connection with their work injury. If you have a compensable workers' compensation claim, you should not be receiving any unpaid medical bills.
If you have been injured on the job, and as a result, your doctor has removed you from work, you should begin receiving a disability check from the workers' compensation insurance company. In Mississippi, workers' compensation insurance carriers are required to pay an injured worker disability benefits after that worker has been off of work for more than 5 days. If the doctor holds a worker off of work for more than 14 days, the insurance company is supposed to go back and pay that injured worker for those first 5 days as well.
When a serious on-the-job injury occurs, an employer has 10 days to report that injury to the Mississippi Workers' Compensation Commission. I've seen cases where a worker has reported a work injury to a supervisor and sought medical treatment, only to find out later that the supervisor or employer never actually reported the injury to the commission. The supervisor later claimed that he did not remember the worker being injured, and as a result, that claim was denied by the insurance company. If you were injured on the job, it is extremely important to make sure your claim is reported properly.
If you have sustained an on-the-job injury, contact our firm immediately. We'll discuss your case free of charge with no obligation and no pressure to hire our firm. If you do decide to use our firm, we'll guide you through the process, making sure your claim has been reported properly and that you are receiving the appropriate workers' compensation benefits.